Hey, how are you? So I'm sure everyone knows about Genghis Khan and the Mongols, and while they don't have the best reputation, they did make some positive contributions to society. They helped promote trade and communication throughout Eurasia, were tolerant of most religions, and killed so many people that they reduced humanity's carbon footprint, effectively cooling the planet. Take that, global warming. But today we won't be dwelling on the positives. Today we'll be talking about how they rightfully earned the title of absolute savages. First off, when Genghis Khan was only 20, he defeated a rival Mongol tribe that had killed his father. Afterwards, he lined the entire tribe up against the linchpin of a wagon, which was about 3 feet high, and everyone who was taller than it was beheaded. So essentially, if you weren't a toddler, you were fucked. Now, whenever the Mongols would defeat an empire or a monarchy, they had a rule that they would not shed noble blood. Sounds pretty liberal, right? Wrong. Turns out there are plenty of sadistic ways to kill someone without shedding their blood. For example, in 1218, Genghis Khan sent a trade caravan to the city of Otrar in the Khwarezmian Empire. I don't know how to pronounce that. And in one of history's worst decisions, the city's governor, Inalchuk, had the caravan executed because he thought they were spies, prompting Genghis to show up and wipe his city off the map. Most residents were beheaded, but because they weren't allowed to shed noble blood, the Mongols killed Inalchuk by pouring molten silver in his eyes and ears. Now we know where Khal Drogo got that idea from. Then, when the Mongols defeated a bunch of Russian armies in present-day Ukraine, they had all their nobility tied up, placed a giant wooden platform over them, and had a victory feast on top of it. Imagine getting slowly smothered to death while your enemy throws an absolute rager directly above you. That's got to be a little demoralizing, to say the least. Oh, and if you're wondering how the Mongols killed Persian nobles, well, they wrapped them in Persian rugs and had them trampled by horses. How poetic. Even Genghis Khan's funeral was absolutely savage, as legend says that to conceal his final resting place, his body was carried into the wilderness by slaves who were escorted by soldiers. After the slaves built his tomb and buried the Khan, the soldiers killed them all. Then the soldiers planted trees over the tomb and returned to camp, where they were also promptly slaughtered, thus ensuring that anyone who knew the Khan's final resting place was no longer breathing. Now, without horses, Mongols would have never been able to create the largest continuous land empire in world history. They were expert horsemen, learning how to ride at age 3, and thus had the most mobile army on the planet. One way they could survive such harsh and long rides, even through deserts, is that if they ran out of food or water, they would just cut a vein in their horse's neck and drink its blood for sustenance. Wicked hardcore, dude. And if they wanted to get a buzz on after a long day of raping and pillaging, they would just pound a couple pouches of Arak, an alcoholic beverage made from their horse's milk. So yeah, horses were essentially a living, breathing Mongolian Swiss Army knife. Mongols are also credited as being one of the first armies to use biological weapons. When they were laying siege to the city of Kaffa, their army came down with the Black Plague, and wanting to share their misery, they started catapulting all of their dead bodies over the city walls, effectively infecting all of Kaffa with the plague. Some Kaffa residents would later flee to Italy, bringing the Black Death with them, which would go on to wipe out 30 to 60% of Europe's population. Safe to say they were even bigger assholes than that Chinese dude who ate a bat. I assume by now you get the picture. Mongols were absolute savages who decimated kingdoms from Vietnam to Poland. And they would have ran train on Western Europe as well, if their leader Ogadai Khan hadn't have died from a bout of binge drinking when Mongol forces were on Germany's doorstep. So, thank fuck that guy was a booze bag.